Signs of the Southland for 18th of May, 2025. Your weekly dose of Georgia Tech numbers and words. I am Akshay Easwaran, and it is a two-man booth this weekend. I am joined by Jack Purdy. Jack, looks like you're wearing like a nice brewery shirt in the background there.
It looks
You're
like one. It's an old South by Southwest shirt that I'm pretty sure my dad picked up like 15 years ago. I think is what this comes
it's
from. And
vintage.
he does not fit a size small, and so it ended up in my hamper one day when I was probably like 17 years old or something like that.
It's barrel aged, a barrel aged T-shirt from South
That's
by
right.
Southwest.
That's right.
Yeah, cool. A lot of stuff to get to today, surprisingly, for the first or second week of summer.
Seriously.
We have baseball postseason. We have, well, I guess regular end of regular season. We have softball postseason. We have golf postseason. We have track postseason. So many postseasons. Let's get started with talking about the ACC regular season champions, Georgia Tech baseball for the first time in literally 20 years, aka most of Jack's life. Georgia Tech is regular season ACC champions. The last time they did this was 2005, the year before their last trip to a super regional. How did they achieve this, you might ask? Because this is not something I don't think we talked about last weekend. They had one scenario, one like minimal scenario in which they could have achieved this championship. They needed FSU to beat UNC coming into Sunday morning or on Sunday. They needed to beat Duke themselves, and then I believe they also needed Stanford to beat NC State. Well, they got help from FSU. They got help from Stanford, and all they needed to do was pull off a absolute classic at Jack Coombs Field in Durham, North Carolina. Walk me through this one, Jack.
Uh, we were. I mean, yeah. So we needed. I remember last week we were like, we just basically need to sweep Duke. Like you sweep Duke, you cover a lot of problem spots. Uh, we got through game one barely 7-6 win, and then Friday's games. This was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. Friday was like, well, never mind. I'm not going to worry about this when we lost by 10 in 7 innings, which is, I mean, we do this. This is normal for us. There's just a trash game in there, some for whatever reason against these good teams. But my goodness, Brady Jones did it again on Saturday and delivered another fantastic start. His ERA is of the best we've had for our starting pitchers in years, and pulled it off 8-2. And then did we win? Did we win and then FSU did what they needed to do, or did they win first and then we got our win?
No, so the UNC FSU game first pitch was before Tech's game.
Okay.
Same thing with Stanford NC State. The UNC FSU game went final. I'm looking at my text from this weekend. That one went final uh, right around 5:15,
Yeah.
right during I think the bottom of the seventh in Durham.
Okay. Okay. So they probably knew seventh. I mean, granted, we were up by that point, so it's just a matter of just hold and you're fine. But they knew at that point. What surprised me is that they didn't know who was going to win the ACC that day. Um, so the ACC, I wonder if they had multiple ACC trophies just around the various spots because there is a picture of the guys still in uniform, right, for that game, hoisting the ACC trophy. And I'm just wondering, did they have two or three of them made just in case? Is there just one that they just pulled from the ACC offices and was like, all right, you just keep that one over there? Thankfully, they were in Durham, North Carolina, where the literal championship is being played this week. So, in terms of optimal spots for that specific piece of hardware to be, I guess we got lucky. Because I'm wondering, like, if this game is in Atlanta, do we have to go pull an old one out of the closet or something like that to have a trophy picture? I don't know. Um, Figured it out nonetheless and got it done. I mean, Drew Burress hit 4 for 4 on Sunday. The dude led the conference in doubles when it's all said and done. The entire team led the conference in doubles by like 20 doubles this year. Like that, we were a doubles team. We were not a homer team like last year. Um, Brady Jones again did well. What ends up being nice is that because game two did not go so well, Connor Ciccoli started. and none of the guys who usually pitch in a high leverage game threw in that game. Like Barker was in there, like 5 other guys. So we had everyone ready to go for Saturday, which was good. And just kind of let us put our best weapons out there in this kind of wasn't a 1 game playoff situation because we were already in whatever form or fashion, but getting an extra win does a lot considering we are still fingers crossed trying to get a regional if we can pull one off. But also like we had a chance to play for this, and so also they were unranked during this game. We are an unranked ACC champion technically.
Oh, that caused some consternation
Yeah.
from NC or UNC fans
Oh
that
no.
were very
So
upset
sad.
that their team could not pull off 1 win. So keep in mind, more context here. There were four possible ACC champions going into Sunday, if I remember
Right.
correctly. So if UNC won, UNC won the ACC. All they had to do was win. Nothing else. All they had to
Easy
do
enough.
was win.
Control your destiny. Easy enough.
Then NC State, I think, was the next one. If FSU beat UNC and NC State won, then NC State would have won the ACC. The third one was FSU. So if FSU won, Tech lost, I think, was required. No,
Yeah,
it was
that's
FSU. FSU won. Oh no, FSU I think got eliminated because they had lost 2 games in the series already.
that makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
And then the final one was Tech. So only 3 scenarios. But still,
Right.
the UNC had the easiest possible job, which was to just win their game away at FSU. Granted, that's a top 5 matchup per
That's hard. That's not
the
that.
coaches
Yeah.
poll. It's a very difficult job, but they had the easiest possible logistical job, right?
Right.
If I remember correctly, they got walked off. It was 4-4 heading into the final frame, and then it was 5-4, and FSU won. So tough way to go for UNC, but all you had to do was win 1 game. So
That's
tough luck.
right. And I mean, that kind
So
of that's it. Yeah, it helps us in multiple ways for tournament considerations because of like those higher ranked teams winning generally is helpful for those bubbly teams trying to claw up into those 16 positions. So that was helpful for us when it was all said and done. Um, the important part is that we only have to play 3 games at most of the ACC tournament, which keep in mind this is a new format. This is not the old pool play situation where you played basically had to win your first game or else you were screwed. Now it's
the
still the exact same
dumbest.
situation. At least now, if you don't win your first game, you just don't have to play again. It's a little bit nicer, kind of for the most part. No
There are
more
no dead
meaningless games.
rubbers.
Yes, no more meaningless games that are just eating up innings and things that teams probably don't want to ever play again. It is basically set up exactly like the basketball tournament, where there's some teams get single buys, some teams get double buys. Number 1 seed, of course, is one of those double buy teams. And we do not, and getting the number 1 seed is huge because now we're out of that facing Florida State early situation, early being a relative term here. And we only play 3 games, which means we can treat this as a normal series instead of having to stretch 4, maybe 5 games like the other teams have to do. So as far as I know, it's probably we'll see Tate McKee throw on Thursday in our first game. We don't know if that's actually going to be the case. I mean, you got hotter arms right now between Payton, Mason Patel, Jalen Payton, and Brady Jones. But again, if you can get away with McKee on Thursday against hopefully no one better than like Wake Forest, who is a potential opponent for us, then you just throw a guy up, let him eat as many innings as possible so that you can save Payton, Patel, and Jones for those really good teams. Because as soon as we get out of that quarterfinal, assuming we get out of it, there is no such thing as an easy game from that point on.
No, those
Probably
are
will.
all. I mean, those are all top 25 teams at worst, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I want to see. I don't have the seeding in front of me immediately, so let's dig around on the ACC tournament website very quickly. So yeah, your 1 is Tech, your 4 is NC State, your 2 is Florida State, and your 3 is UNC. So
Yep.
also lol UNC falling to third, but having the again the easiest possible way to winning the ACC.
Right.
Anyway, stay mad. But yeah, so Tech gets that 3 p.m. game on the ACC network on Thursday in the first slot. It's going to be, and if you win that, you're paired. I guess I didn't actually look at the bracket. You're paired
So
up against, I assume, the winner of the NC State game.
yeah, so NC State probably is going to play Clemson, who is the 5 seed. Clemson's gonna play the winner of Virginia Tech and Stanford. I have no reason to believe Clemson won't win that game. And then they go in to play North Carolina State, which case a little bit of a tighter matchup there. Our path is again getting number 1 seed is huge because of how much easier it relatively gets. First round drawing back to it or feeding into us is the 9-16 game of Miami versus Cal. Probably gonna get Miami out of that game. Then it's Miami versus Wake Forest. In all likelihood, Wake Forest got the single bye, and then we play the winner of that game. And we don't play until Thursday at 3 o'clock. So we also won't have like a super, super late at night game, which I like that. But nonetheless, I mean, and then if you probably play Clemson or North Carolina State in the semi, which means you're not facing one of those, oh my God, we have to play our best game to win kind of situation until in theory, the championship game against Florida State or North Carolina. So the ease of this is so much better being at the top spot, and then if you can actually get to the championship game and put up a good fight, that's right. Considering how I know Jake explained some mechanics of why we're very, very likely a 2 seed, even with a Duke sweep. We did not sweep Duke. You kind of feel like I feel like we have to get to that ACC championship game to give enough of a recent good resume to be like, yeah, we should be the 16th or 15th team to host after being unranked 2 weeks before Selection Sunday.
It's still it's not as competitive or as strong of a hosting resume as a UNC, as an
No, it's not.
FSU.
Yeah.
But depends on how much you care
yeah.
about regular season championships and all that. So
right. And this was a fair point, I think, by the North Carolina folks that were complaining. It's like, hey, our strength of schedule relative to other teams who were in this top group had to play Florida State and North Carolina, all these teams. Like, it wasn't as strong, which that's fair. Like, when you bloat the conference as big as we do now with what 17, 18 teams, whether 16 teams in the conference now, and 4 of them are just never even have a crack at any semblance of a tournament appearance. And you draw a lot of them in the same year. Yeah, that's going to make things easy. I mean, I'm not going to straight 1-to-1 say we're like the SMU of football season in a sense, but it was a more generous schedule we got to work with. But
also we don't pick those games, right? Like
right,
Tech doesn't have any input in picking those games. They get dealt the cards that they're dealt. Do they take advantage of the schedule that they were handed, other than one very brutal sweep at Miami? For the most part, yeah. But to their point,
it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah, they were gonna lose 3 ACC games somewhere in the middle there. Any way you slice it, just came all 3 at once, right? But I think to their credit, they now have 2 consecutive wins or series wins over ranked teams, right? That Louisville win last week, and the Duke one this week. I mean, I'll defer to Jake and the USI model on this one, but my gut feeling, just kind of ironic given Jake and I's usual positions on these things, my gut feeling is that like 1 win at the ACC tournament moves them into that hosting slot. They don't need to win the whole thing, but they need to say, okay, we beat a Wake Forest, or or maybe it's 2 wins, right? You beat that NC State that you didn't face in the ACC slate. You beat an NC State and you say, okay, now we've beat another top 15 team.
Right.
Let's move us into that bracket. So we'll see how it works out. Again, Tech double bye straight to the quarterfinal. That game will be on Thursday at 3 p.m. That's the 22nd of May. They will face the winner of, or some winner of, Miami, Cal, and Wake Forest. We'll see who comes out of that. Jack, a quick note on softball?
I think we'll make it quick. I mean, so we made the tournament. We finally got to play NCAA tournament games as a softball team for the first time since 2022. We drew Florida Atlantic in the first game, who was no soft team to face at all. And in the rest of the regional was Florida and Mercer, who we lost to earlier this year. FAU walked us off in the 8th inning in the first game, which was not fun. Sophia Voiles pitched well, all things considered. She allowed a couple early homers on like the 2 mistake pitches she made. They took advantage of. And we were able to manufacture some runs late. A very big Emma Simon double put us ahead at one point. And then they just had 2. They had 2. Florida Atlantic had two identical slicing doubles off Michaela Caulfield that just barely were inside the foul line down left field and managed to get the lead on those, and that was it. I missed the Mercer game, and I think it was a good thing that I missed the Mercer game. Sounds like that was
I did not miss. I did not miss the Mercer game.
Oh dear.
That was appointment viewing in my household. It was not good. Kinsey Norton had a lot of trouble with the strike zone early on, like basically from the first pitch. Loaded the bases to start the game, and it was just kind of downhill from there. I think Mercer got up to 5-0 before Tech scratched across a run in the middle of the game. Tech, I think it got up to at 7-3. Tech had got on a couple runners with 2 outs. I think loaded the bases with 2 outs late. I think this was the 5th or 6th. No, this would have been the 5th inning when Mercer's starter just kept walking people. It was really weird. Like got 2 outs via strikeout, I think, and then walked 3 straight batters. And then Eliana Gottlieb, I think it was, hit a bases clearing double.
Nice. All right.
Or at least a 2-run RBI double. To put Tech, to give Tech some momentum heading into those latter stages. And I think once Sophia Voiles came in, things settled down a bit. You know, you're playing a little bit with game state. Mercer's playing with a lead. They've cooled off a little bit. Still some runs, still runs leaking in, but she limited the damage. It was just 2 runs, got out of jams pretty efficiently. But it's tough when you spot a team that you've already beaten or already lost to, like Mercer or earlier in the season. When you spot them 5 runs, it's hard to come back from that, regardless of how good your hitting is, because you're always, your game state and you're always playing from behind, right? So
yeah, they were not the team that was repetitively being like scoring 8-9 runs a game. Like where if you put a 5 spot on us, it's like we know we have the bats for that. That just wasn't happening this year. And just in general, losing to Mercer twice in a season, problematic. Usually, you wouldn't think we'd made the tournament in this context usually either, but one of them came in the tournament. So
yeah. Important to note about that Mercer program, by the way, that they had a really good season.
They did. They won the SoCon, right?
They won the SoCon, and I think it's their first tournament appearance ever. So
wow.
I mean, hats off to their program. But this is a frustrating end to a season that definitely had its ups and downs. I mean, I think, like I said last week, this has to be a floor for this team. I think
hopefully
at times it has to be a floor, and we have to see growth next year and the year after. This just can't be they had a really grueling run at this tournament. Now it's going to be 2, 3, 4 years until we see them in this spot again. So,
right. We'll see how they reload on pitching, how that works out. They got a lot of youth we know about, like Sydney Watts is still back there as hopefully she develops a lot more this year. She got a lot of run in normal regular season play, didn't pitch any, I believe, in these last couple of games. Who were much down the stretch, but we know Sydney's she was highly recruited for a reason. So if you have the talent, eventually it should keep developing, so to say. And that happened for Sophia as well. That happened for Kinsey. They were not as good as they are now 3 years ago when they got to Tech. So I think the floor is still there, knowing the hitting was generally good enough. They were good at situational base running and situational hitting, bunts and all that kind of thing. So I think they would say that same thing. They know they had a good incoming class this year, and they got to a spot that no team in the last 3 years had gotten to. So overall, still very successful despite a very long late season slide that could have been worse if we had that FSU series happen. So all things considered, I mean, thank God they got that win in the ACC tournament to probably put them in the NCAA tournament. All things considered, because that Cal team was not bad either, and we beat them twice this year between our 3-game series out there and that win and the win out in Boston College at the tournament. So,
and that Cal team, I think, was really battling with OU at the weekend. So, to your point, very, very good softball team. That's really, really competitive. And you get 2 of 4 from them this season. you're in a good spot. So
The sport's getting better, and we got to get better with the sport. And so far, it looks like they're, for the most part, doing that, which is good.
a lot of like fascinating results after this weekend too. I think Liberty sent Texas A&M, who was the one overall seed, into the losers bracket. You had Texas absolutely dismantling Michigan at one
Oh
point,
yeah, I
just
saw
hitting
some of that game.
homer after homer after homer. I think they went back to back to back at one point.
Mm.
A lot of good games, a lot of good games, a lot of interesting results. So, um, Jack, shall we take a quick break to do some podcast business and then
I think
move
we
on
can
to
do that.
talking about a bunch of fun stuff around football, golf, track and field, Survivor, back in a tick.
It was a big day for Tech by beating Duke and getting into by winning the ACC tournament. Of course, that comes with a lovely Section 103 discount. So if you happen to be one of the few people listening to this on Sunday when we release this in the evening, you still have some time to take advantage of a site-wide 20% off sale at section103.com for all the best Georgia Tech gear that you can get. I've got the Ramblin' Wreck Trekker hat, which is now my default, just socializing hat. It's fantastic. I wear some of that gear just when I go play golf because it's really breathable and good for being outside. I know it's hot this weekend, going to be hot coming up in summer. So get some good hats, get some good shirts, get it now while it's cheap. Otherwise, if it's not today, you can use code FTRS for 10% off, and you get free shipping for any order over $80. I think that's it. Section103.com or at Section103 on Twitter and Instagram.
Welcome back to Signs of the Southland for Sunday, May 18th. Let's talk a little football. It's a weird point in the calendar to be talking a little football, but two big news items. Let's start with some scheduling news. Jack, you want to walk us through this one?
Yeah, so there was like ACC Media Days or something. I don't know. Brent Key was on TV for some reason recently. And Chad Bishop of the AJC, our friend, was up there as well. And the scheduling piece came about as a topic in what was a month and a half, 2 months, about a month and a half ago. Tech announced that they were canceling the second half of the Marta Bowl with Georgia State in favor of a home and home series with Tennessee in 2026 and 2027. And so that replaced that all of our games in 2025 were covered. So that's what happened for 26. We still have gaps in 2028 and 2029 before we have Alabama as our primary non-conference opponent in 2030 and 2031. Scheduling Tennessee indicates, oh, okay, they're going to schedule some high-profile opponents here. Are they going to do this again? And Chad basically said, yes, they are going to try and do this again. The goal is to schedule another high-profile opponent. That is the main gap we have. We have no one after 2031 scheduled that isn't Georgia or Notre Dame for previously contracted reasons or ACC rules kinds of things. I know Jake and I are very suspicious that Auburn is who's going to be scheduled in 2028 because there is a rush on scheduling SEC teams right now in fear that they're about to go to a 9-game conference schedule, therefore only have 3 non-conference games open, and they probably don't want to play many more P4 teams if they can avoid it. I know SMU and LSU just scheduled a home and home recently. That Tennessee got us for the same reason. So it feels like we're about to land someone else here pretty soon. Auburn has a 2029 game against Miami, so it might just be 2028, which then means if it's just one game, where do you think that game might be played, Akshay?
See, this is like
I am just reading tea leaves here. There is no facts here. I'm not reporting a darn thing. This is just just looking at the field and seeing what's out there, seeing who's playing what position right now.
I also don't think that there was a venue reported for the Tennessee game either.
There is not. There is not. It is just home and home is all that's there. We do, I believe, we still have to play a game in 2026 in Mercedes-Benz based on the contract extension that we did with them. So that very well could be the game that's there, which would be hilarious considering the last time we played Tennessee was in said building for the Chick-fil-A kickoff in 2017.
And they should just do the 10-year anniversary.
That's right. Yeah, not that bad at all. Put Taekwon back in. Can he play?
If he had eligibility still, that'd be crazy. It is. I see this as like both a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because if you play these games, if you schedule these high-profile opponents and you play them at Mercedes-Benz, and your agreements are such that you get a majority of the gate after the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl committee or Mercedes-Benz takes its cut, it's probably a good thing for your budget. I mean, even that,
Right.
I think the number that was on even just moving clean old fashioned hate in 25 to Mercedes Benz was $13 million. And like when your and
Yeah, when it's
when
all said and
your
done, it'll be around there.
ACC
Yeah.
media revenue per year is like $21 million, like think about the numbers that are in play there, right? So
Right.
when you're getting that kind of money, and I guess that it's different because it's a guarantee and not the gate in the clean old fashioned hate case. But when you're getting that kind of money and you're giving ESPN and your other network partners high profile games to put on, or profile opponents to play, to put those games in high profile TV windows, you're min maxing the ACC rev share
Right.
schedule as well, right?
Yeah.
So like it all makes sense. It's all cohesive. It's like Jay Bat has repeatedly made moves for better or for worse from a vibes perspective, but repeatedly made moves to increase the number of dollars that are going into Georgia Tech's bank account, right?
Right. Right.
And this is just another attempt at that and another slice of that pie. So
Yeah. And last year
it's
we were the most watched ACC team last year. We did have some very good high profile games in there. Had the most exciting game of the year, arguably, in our final regular season game. Had the big old kickoff game out in Ireland, which itself was a fantastic game on a walk off field goal. So like we were playing dramatic football that inherently is very appealing to watch for neutral fans, and that helped us be the most watched ACC team in the league last year. And the plot, thankfully for us, continues with a lot of continuity. Like we have a lot of, if you think about this, I kind of think about this as a TV show in a sense, because ultimately a lot of money and rating stuff is mattering more and more and more. So how good you are as a television product, which does correlate with your on-field performance, like that matters here. And having a lot of guys that people will recognize from last year's games, in both Haynes and Haynes, Brent Key himself, Faulkner as our offensive coordinator, getting two good wide receivers, or a lot of our defensive stuff spec. Like it'll be an easy team for people to keep following, which in theory should net you more eyeballs than the average ACC team, which in theory should get you more ad revenue, and so on and so forth. Like it's the flywheel you hope keeps spinning. And so that's why scheduling these kind of games matters. Like if whatever this game in 2020, let's just say it's Auburn for the sake of the argument. If it's Auburn, that's going to matter so much more in terms of potential dollars coming in to help feed the program and help boost everything else going on at Georgia Tech than if we played Furman or just anyone else. There's some other Southeastern team, or Georgia Southern if we wanted to play them. There's a reason we scheduled, like the Georgia State game. I know people were excited for, but it's like they know the impact of playing Tennessee in 2027 in 2026 matters a hell of a lot more than just playing your literal down the street rival. Like no game could be closer in terms of travel, and we're opting to not do it. So
look, the expected value is so much higher, to your point.
right,
Like
that's
it's
the thing.
just
We can lose that game 33-2, but still, like we played Tennessee, and that's
yeah.
sadly what matters here, is that it's the television product of it all, less than the pure wins and losses.
Which is the thing that kind of sucks about this, right? Especially if
Yeah.
you're a program in Georgia Tech's tier of college football, not to do a promotion relegation bit, but just like in that zone where you are you're not terrible anymore, but you're not
Right.
a top 25 contender at this stage. We'll see
Who the
what
hell knows where
25
we may be ranked preseason for all we know.
right, but like when you're not, okay, I guess a better way to do this, if you're not in the power two, like the big two, right?
Right.
And you're in that, like you're in the Big 12 of the ACC, naturally you're not, you're in that second tier of the sport. And just like scheduling these games just to get a payday there's like a level of frustration with that. I do wonder what the competitive, like,
well, I was
what the
get to this,
competitive like arguments for these are, because right now you can say, okay, well, these are all mostly revenue arguments, right? But somewhere there is like hey, we want to, I don't know, like there's not a ton of ways to be like, oh, like to be the best, we got to beat the best kind of mentality, just because of how stratified these things get,
right.
or these
But at
things
the same
are.
time, at the same time, you play that Tennessee, like that playing Georgia State in 26, there was basically no upside in terms of our playoff potential kind of thing. You lose to a highly ranked Tennessee game in a close game kind of thing. That speaks so much more than beating Georgia State 45-5 or 45-10 or something like that. So there is some competitive reasons in all this, considering that it's, I mean, we're in a way trying to battle our way out of this metaphorical relegation zone where we just don't matter as the top keeps drifting further and further away. College football keeps drifting further and further away from the rest of the pack, which Jay Bad in many interviews and things like that has kind of explained how they're trying to get Tech forward is to make sure they're in that group of schools. And these are the kind of moves that do a lot of that legwork, whether we like it or not.
Yeah,
so it's
I
fascinating.
mean, I to an extent, not I don't know if this is a entirely valid comparison, but I do wonder what, and also you have to adjust across eras, but to an extent, I wonder what people at VT thought about really taking over Thursday nights in the early 2000s or like coming out of the 90s into the early 2000s,
Right.
because the move to get that kind of visibility on TV for VT was transformative, right? But again, it's a
Really?
different
Yeah, it
moment
was.
in
Yeah.
college football. It's a different team. It's a different environment. I wonder if there are parallels to draw here from the revenue and the popular, like the eyeballs aspect.
Right.
Um, I don't know,
Probably.
but
Yeah.
it's there's like a similar motivation, right, to get yourself on the big stage,
Yeah.
and
That's
as much as possible, and take over these kinds of moments, like big eyeball moments
yeah.
during the calendar. So we'll see who this opponent is. We'll see what happens
Well,
there.
I listed out a few options here because I may as well, I just did the exercise of who has got availability in 2028 and 2029. I basically took everybody. I ruled out Ohio State and Oregon because they're probably not going to play us. But anyone else in P4 that at least had an opening or wasn't already playing another notable P4 team to where I'm like, they probably aren't going to schedule us at this point. We have Auburn's available in 28. That's who I'm thinking it's probably going to end up being just because we would love to play them and that's good for eyeballs. Ole Miss is available, Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas State, Texas Tech. That covers the SEC and the Big 12. Now, Big 10 has some decent names here. Indiana in 29, Iowa, Michigan hasn't scheduled anybody after like 2027, but I doubt we schedule them. Michigan State, Minnesota, Northwestern, Penn State in 29, Rutgers or Southern Cal. Is there any team that you're like, hell yeah, let's do that game?
Michigan would be a real nerd energy moment. Not gonna lie. Iowa Tech would be a good rematch of a Peach Bowl. I think there was a Peach Bowl. Yeah. Or maybe I'm misremembering something. There was an Iowa Tech game recently. Um, Ole Miss, I'm not really feeling.
Nope, don't want to play them again.
Baylor's like a 50, like Baylor's more if you want to like
That
do or like
yeah,
get a game that's a little bit more close, like competitively.
right.
Baylor, Iowa State, your Kansas State, Texas Tech, like again, but those are all the scheduling all the Big 12 teams is like, okay, you are closer to those teams competitively.
Yeah. Yeah, the only teams in here, it's like, okay, in theory, we should probably beat them on a neutral field, given that we're back and given that this team kind of meets expectations. It's like probably K-State, Baylor, Indiana, maybe Iowa, Michigan State, Minnesota, and Northwestern and Rutgers. The rest, who knows? Texas Tech maybe as well.
I mean, it would be really funny to play USC just because of the whole Sun Bowl
Would
thing.
that'd be so funny,
That's like the only reason why it would be funny. Also, if
right?
you get what is that USC in 28, like if you get Lincoln Riley fired, that'd be pretty funny too. Northwestern is interesting to me again from that nerd energy perspective.
I'll point this out.
And they're also
Northwestern,
bad.
they're bad, but there is Chicago's a very popular destination for Tech alumni. And so, in terms of drawing a Tech crowd, Northwestern's a very good place to play for just selfish engagement. If engagement also matters to the athletic department, that would be big. It's like they're in
Chicago's
basically
Big Ten
USC.
team, baby. Chicago's
It'd be
Big Ten
there.
team.
USC for the same reasons. They're like, we got a lot of people in LA. We got multiple people on our staff in Los Angeles right now. It might suck to do, but we could draw a crowd in USC of just local Californians that also went to Tech somehow. We got
Oh,
reach, man.
Iowa Tech. Now I remember. Iowa Tech was
Okay.
was an Orange Bowl. It wasn't a Peach Bowl. It was an
Oh,
Orange
okay.
Bowl in 2011.
Gotcha.
That's why I remember. That's why it stood out because it was super dumb. It was, I remember looking through the box score. It was super dumb. I don't know. I don't really have any preferences here. Michigan is still kind of like as a program, I feel like is still kind of on the beach after winning a title. Penn State could be a really
That'd be
juicy
great. That'd be fun.
fixture because I think they're kind of not in a they're in a more steady phase of their program.
Yeah.
Indiana is a little bit more volatile to me. Um, Iowa State conceptually is interesting, but it just depends on what they look like at that point. Like in 2 years, is Matt Campbell still there? Is he gone?
Yeah.
Um, I don't
I
know.
don't want to go to Penn State because that place is impossible to get hotels for.
Oh
That
yeah.
is a travel in kind of that is not a they're a big home field advantage in how inaccessible state college is. So
Uh, if I remember correctly, James Franklin asked them to expand the airport specifically for games. So we'll see if
makes sense.
that one gets past the state legislature. I think that's about it. I don't have any massive opinions on anyone else. I don't know.
That's just who I'm
I
looking
mean,
out
it's
for.
also possible. It's also possible that by 2028, college football is completely different, and we actually have pro rel. So
Who
we
the hell
won't be
knows?
able to
Yeah,
play any of these teams anyway.
I know I've said it on a previous podcast, probably like a year ago when the ACC changed, when they like said who were playing in 28 and 29. I'm like, are we really? Like, I won't
You
believe
sure
these
about
games are
that?
happening until they start traveling to these games. I need to see them actually happen to believe they're real.
Other big news out of the flats this week was the approval of the $70 million renovation plan for Bobby Dodd Stadium by the University of System Georgia Board of Regents. Just a reminder on what the specifics of that renovation are. I think all of these are from the AJC, right, Jack?
Yes.
Quote, on West Sideline components include the creation of a new premium level, as well as replacing the existing President's Lounge and entry lobby within the Bill Moore Student Success Center with a Founders Club. The Founders Club, 7,700 square feet, will feature 124 seats at midfield. On the east sideline, 15 existing suites will be renovated, along with the creation of a field club lounge of 20,000 square feet and a speakeasy style club that will be 3,250 square feet. End quote. Everything is expected to be done in time for the 2027 season. So you'll have the edge building done before the 2026 season, and then the whole stadium will go under the knife before 2027. I imagine some of the stuff will be tried. They'll try to time this at the same time, just not to move the construction equipment. But we'll see what happens there. I mean, they went vertical pretty quickly with the edge renovation. So
The Fanning Center is getting they're doing the guts. I know they got some lights going on in there and things like that. Yeah, it's coming up. They still got to do a lot of walls, but the structure's done. Like they got the steel's up. Right, no more steel to put on that building.
and if I remember correctly, the top level of that is also some sort of rooftop bar.
Yeah, a
From
big part
donor
of that build.
space.
Exactly, a big part of that building is going to be a actually be able to see into the stadium from the building, unlike the last building where it was just a big old concrete wall that couldn't see
It's a
into the building.
concrete bunker, dude. It's a brutalist architecture.
It was someone's
It's the
office.
peak 80s.
So you just we can probably just imagine like Josh Pastner's office on the other side of that building or of a wall or something like that. But anyway, so yeah, that there'll be a big point of this whole modern renovation, which includes fanning and all this, is to help do more high rolling kind of things in the stadium and make it much more of a landmark destination to come watch football like it was back in the 70s and 80s. And before that, really getting back to like the 1920s for knowing the history of it. They'll be replacing basically every seat with the gold chair backs as well. So we won't have bleacher benches anymore.
Other than in the student section,
Right. Student section.
to mention
Yes.
there.
Student section stays the same as it should. That'll be the case. And then they'll redo the scoreboard on the north app side. I think they're gonna put up one in like that corner on Bobby Dodd Way, between the east stand and the north stand. Yeah, between the west stand and the north stand, where there's like, I think there's an accessibility ramp right there. There's just a big old hole.
Yeah,
Basically.
it's just a ramp up there.
Yeah, so it'll be a much nicer looking stadium. It will be very, very visually appealing on television when there's gold everywhere versus just in one little spot, which will be nice. I wonder if I don't know enough about this, but I know we both have spent many hours in Mercedes Benz. This speakeasy style club and the field club lounge on the same side. I feel like that's going to be like the AMG lounge in Mercedes Benz, where you have to go through the Delta Club to get into the AMG lounge kind of thing. It's the club within the club uh,
The
situation.
thing
I don't
that
know if they're
bothers
actually
me about the thing that bothers me about any field level thing though is that the people don't actually sit in their seats. Like they sell the seats and then they also get access
they
to the
stand.
club.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess you're in the club. You stand on the turf, maybe on the turf, just behind everything as well, kind of thing. So we'll see.
This
Oh,
is
granted,
something that's
football.
always bothered me in Mercedes Benz too. It's like just sell club access as a separate ticket and sell the seat as a separate ticket, and so your seats are full, and then
Yeah,
your rich people also like I don't know are on the field
we'll
level. It's so dumb to me. It's
we'll see.
inefficient to me,
All
especially
that's
because if that is the TV side of or the
it
TV
is.
viewing angle.
It will still be. Yeah. I'll be curious how this changes like the press box and things like that because like that President's Club section they're talking about, you have to go through the Bill Moore building to get into, and but it's like sort of accessible from this. There's staircases that are stadium accessible only, and some staircases that are through Bill Moore, and they don't touch. Like they're close to each other, but they don't explicitly touch each other. So there's kind of like two ways to get in a very narrow part of that building. So I wonder how that'll all shape out if
I
the photos look like they're
want to
changing.
say
The photos look like they're changing everything on that wall, basically. Uh,
I want to say the AJC reported that the uh, I don't know if it includes the press box, but broadcast and radio operations are all moving to the north end zone.
oh, okay, that probably is the case then.
Either
Yeah, that probably
either one of
because
the vertical end zones, not the
that
horizontal ones.
okay, then probably yeah, then we probably are going to move over there because all that sits adjacent to the press box right now. That's all.
Yeah.
Like the broadcast, like Andy Demetrius, we can all just stare at Andy Demetrius when he's doing the radio call the entire time from where we sit for watching games.
Yeah.
So that checks out.
It won't look that different, I think. Like, I mean, other than the seats, you probably won't notice, like, externally a ton of differences, other than everything looks newer
Right.
and fancier. We'll see.
It'll be
We'll
good
see
though.
how that
We need it
goes.
modernized. It'll be the biggest renovation the stadium's had just in terms of volume of things changed since they ripped out the South Bowl in the night in late '80s. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember how much. I think it's interesting because I think the north upper north construction was somewhere in the neighborhood of like at least $150 million. I'd have to go back and check the records at the turn of the century, and
right,
now this. It's weird to see this be cheaper, but this is a substantial refreshing of
yes,
the entire
yes,
stadium.
it is.
Um, and I mean, it's the oldest continuously operated. What is it that they usually say? Oldest continuously
Oldest
operating stadium, college football
in
stadium in America.
in in FBS.
In
Penn's
FBS.
got us
What is it?
beat.
The Yale Bowl that
It's
beats them
Penn.
out.
Penn. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yep.
But it's ours. It's getting a nice. It's getting more than just a coat of paint in this case.
Yeah.
And there was a time very recently that I did not think that Tech would ever finance something like this ever again. But to Jay Bat's credit, and also this is a testament to Brent Key as well for the work that he's done the last 2 years with this program. Like they have gotten fans into enough of a fervor to pay for this, right?
Yeah.
This is coming out of the full steam ahead project, which is a full $250 million for various improvements, including the a men's basketball locker room improvement at Zelnak.
Yep.
I think a rebuilding of Zelnak is along with that.
Zelnak's
And
changing.
then
O'Keefe's changing. Yeah.
yeah. The O'Keefe thing is still the last thing that I would like to hear more about,
I
but
would love to just know everything about that they probably know very little on, as far as I know. So we'll see. As
yeah.
long as the cash is there.
Yeah. Last note on football before we move on to talking about golf. Our 100 Days to Football series starts Wednesday. It's shocking to me that football season is 100 days away already. That's terrifying,
We're
frankly.
right there. We're right there, man.
Terrifying. Terrifying. You want to talk a little golf?
Let's
You've been
do it.
watching golf in the background this whole time.
Yeah, I've been watching Scotty Scheffler win himself a PGA Championship. Yeah, the golf team, they were at the Auburn Regional, where they needed to finish top 5 to move on to the NCAA Championships, which is a thing that we have basically done without basically just by showing up every time. And we did that once again. We finished 5th. I think we were the 5th highest ranked team there as well. So we actually finished right on par with ourselves. We finished 42 strokes behind Auburn, who won the darn thing, but it was at their home course, so I don't blame them for knowing the course and beating the crap out of everybody else. We were at 10 over, 5 strokes ahead of SMU in 6th. So we just did enough basically. That's just doesn't matter if you're 1st or 5th, as long as you're in 1st or 5th, you're fine. That's all that really mattered there. Hiroshi Tai did seem to do pretty well, which is good to know, and is important because he is the reigning individual NCAA champion. For at least one more weekend, we are active NCAA champs in something. Going back to where they going, Carlsbad. Yep, Carlsbad, the Omni La Costa Resort. They'll got this is a 2-part event. So there's the stroke play event that's over 2-3 days over the weekend, and then if you do well enough in that, you got to be one of the top 8 teams, and then you go into match play, which is where we have had so many heartbreaking moments in the last all of the Danny Hepler era, basically.
Bruce Hepler. You mixed Danny Hall and Bruce Hepler.
I sure did. I sure did just do that.
That one is fun. Jack, do you remember who hosted this tournament last year?
I do indeed. They don't reside in the state of California. They don't reside in a neighboring state of California, for that matter. Actually, I believe it is the University of Texas in Austin. In Austin, very specifically.
Would you be surprised if I told you that they are hosting this year's version of this tournament again?
Not in the slightest, but I do know kind of more what this means now, considering that Tech was a host for the NCAA for March Madness when it was the games at State Farm Arena, which effectively just means your athletic department just helps run the event. That's all that means, which it kind of makes sense that Texas now does this because it's kind of a big event and they're good at golf things. And so they must be the ones willing to do it more than anything. And they're like, okay, we'll just do it. We can throw hands at this and call it a day. I don't know why UCLA doesn't want to do it, but whatever. It don't matter. For all we know, for all we know, like Washington could host this. We could host it for all we know. Like it's purely a HR situation more than an actual competition situation.
I mean, look, let's host. I have a great idea. NCAA Championships at Augusta National.
Oh man,
they'll never do it. They will never ever do it.
No, I don't think Fred Ridley really is up for that right now. I don't think they want to lose the course during a prime weekend for their members to be playing golf to another event after they get the course all ready for their women's amateur and the drive different putt and then the actual Masters themselves. So, as much as I'd love that, that would be awesome. I feel like
that's how we get on the course. That's how we get on the course at Augusta with a press pass, Jack.
This is true. I made a mistake. I should have tried knowing Hiroshi was there as playing kind of because he won a college tournament, not because this was my one chance. I need Hiroshi to either win this again or someone else on this team. Albert Hansen, you go do it. Somebody, Carson Kemp, just win this event so that I can go then apply for a press pass at next year's Masters because the winner of this tournament gets an invite. That's how Hiroshi played.
Think about it this way. If it's one of the international guys, you can maybe even go to one of the international tournaments.
It's true. This is true. Maybe. I don't think I'm going to go to the British Open. Traveling internationally seems not the best idea right now, but I'll leave it at that.
All right. NCAA Championship. That will be the 23rd through the 28th of May. That includes stroke play and match play. Again, you have to get into the top 8 to stay alive into match play. That will be your quarterfinals and your semifinals on, I think the quarterfinals and semifinals are on the 27th, and then the final is on the 28th.
Right. Yeah, they do both. Let's be clear. They're not projected to make the top 8. Like, this team has not played that well.
No, this is the 25th team in the country.
Yes. We have to massively
So
overperform to actually qualify as a team for this part. It is like the best shot we have at anything is Hiroshi Tai repeating as individual champion. And he probably won't do that either, considering how good the rest of the field has been around the country.
there will be live look-ins into this tournament. I think some live TV windows on Golf Channel throughout the entire tournament. So keep an eye out for that. Again, these are like this is like the one or two chances that you get to watch Georgia Tech golf on TV. So savor them while you can. Something else I saw on TV this weekend, by the way, ACC outdoor track and field championships.
Yeah,
Jack. Tech was there. I think the final results had Duke and Virginia winning on the men's and women's side, respectively. I had this pulled up like 20 minutes ago. But you want to go through Tech's results very quickly?
I will. We had some good notables. No wins, sadly, but we had some good results. John Watkins was the best of anything. He got second in the triple jump, which got him first team All ACC. Basically, first through like fourth got you first team, and then fifth through eighth got you second team All ACC. Our second team All ACC, or Carlo Duplessis, got fifth in the high jump. Drace Driscoll got sixth in the 3,000 meter steeplechase. On the guys' side of the same event, John Higginbotham got sixth in the 3,000 meter steeplechase. Jade Opaton got sixth in the 100 meters, and that sprint right there. And then Winston DeCure, the third, got seventh in the 400 meter hurdles. This feels kind of better than our usual. I don't know if it feels a little bit better than our usual results at ACCs and things like that. Maybe on par. I don't know. These are all running events too. No field. We don't gotta doing hammer throw like we did a couple years ago, just breaking all of our records.
I would not look at the final results board, but yes, it was Duke that won on the men's side and Virginia on the women's side after it was all said and done. Where was this? I don't even remember where this was.
Oh, probably somewhere in North Carolina. I'm going to guess Cary, North Carolina, where all ACC championships are hosted.
North Carolina Courage. Let's see, Kentner Stadium. Kentner Stadium. They keep saying Kentner Stadium, and they're not telling me where Kentner Stadium is.
That sounds like a North Carolina thing.
Kentner Stadium. It literally does not tell me where. Kentner Stadium, Wake Forest.
Yep, there we go. That sounded very North Carolinian to me. Could not be. Kent? What doesn't Kent just the word Kent ring North Carolina to you?
There's a part of England that's named Kent.
Right.
The Seattle Sounders have a winger that's named Ryan Kent. That's all I got on this matter.
Okay. I don't know. The word association Kent and North Carolina go hand in hand to me for whatever reason. Welcome to my brain.
We have a baseball player. Tech has a baseball player named Kent Schmidt.
That's true. I should have just started there first. I failed at this podcast already. That was not good by me. Oh well.
Any other news and notes from around the flats, Jack?
The flats of Fijian beaches. Yeah. Eva Erickson, our Georgia Tech competitor out on Survivor 48, still alive. The finale is Wednesday, so if you want to see a Georgia Tech alum possibly win $1 million on Wednesday, go do that. It's gonna be a doozy. She's, as far as I know, is gonna make the final four. This episode starts at final five because she has a way to get to four. I don't want to spoil it too much, but basically, yeah, it looks like she's gonna finish very high up and at least match 2023's Carson Garrett, who was still a student at Tech, by the way. As the highest ever finisher in Survivor by a Georgia Tech person. Granted, he's the only other one that's, as far as I know, that's ever played. So of the top three, there's only two.
Do you think they're gonna have a Survivors Club now at Tech, or an alumni event?
That'd be cool. That is a thing I may or may not be trying to already do. That's as much as I can say about that.
Oh boy, he's teasing future projects. Well, I think this project is about wrapped up for the day. Jack, you want to take us out here?
Indeed. You can go find us at fromtherumbleseat.com. I know we've been a little bit lighter on content recently, but spring happens to do that to us. But with football coming up, our annual summer series is coming very, very soon. I know we're going to be working on some summer podcast ideas soon. We are definitely going to do one about the financial report that came out for the 2023 financial year. So that's coming up down the chute. Basically, once baseball season ends, we'll shift into that content. I think we're going to have a Bobby Jones specific episode that I've been working on for a bit. It's going to be some fun stuff. You can email us at fromtherumbleseat@gmail.com if you have questions. I know I need to put some mailbag questions out. Or if you want to write for us, totally can. You should do that. Or if you know someone that needs a hobby, this is a great place to do a thing like that. You can find us on Twitter and Blue Sky at FTRS blog. I'm at Jack Nicholas on both. Jake is at Jake Grant 98 on Blue Sky. You can find Section 103 on Instagram, at Section 103 or on Twitter at the same handle, or just go to section103.com and buy yourself a hat or a shirt or something because it's cool and it's 20% off for the next 5.5 hours. You can find us wherever podcasts are sold. Thanks for listening. Let's go to Jack.